HarperCollins presents The Art of Disagreeing Well, How Debate Teaches Us to Listen and Be Heard, by Bo So. Read by Bo So.
For Jin Kyung Park and Won Kyo So. Introduction. Before my 9th birthday, I lost the ability to disagree. I experienced the loss as a kind of erosion. There was no disabling moment, only a slow and steady fade. In the beginning, I resisted. Though the words caught in my throat, I found ways to spit out my objections. But then I tired of the effort, risk, and self-disclosure that arguments entail. So I began to linger in the silences between speech, and once there, told myself I could find a way to live in this safe and hidden place. It was July 2003, and my parents and I had just moved to Australia from South Korea. The decision to immigrate, in pursuit of fresh opportunities in life, work, and education, had excited me in the beginning. But now in Wahroonga, this quiet, wealthy suburb in the north of Sydney, I could see that it was a folly. We had left behind good friends, food made with actual spices, and 48 million people who spoke our language. And for what? The alienation I felt, in the refrigerated aisles of Woolworths or atop the jungle gym at the local park, had the irritating quality of being boldly chosen. In response to my complaints, Mum and Dad were sympathetic but unmoved. I got the sense from how they repeated the word transition that discomfort and confusion had been accounted for in some grand arithmetic. My parents were somewhat dissimilar to each other. Dad grew up as part of a sprawling conservative family in a country town on the easternmost point of the Korean peninsula. Mum was raised by urbane progressives in Seoul. He eschewed material comforts, she had an instinct for glamour. He loved people, she prized ideas. However, the stages of immigration brought to the fore qualities they shared, a fierce independence and a determination to realize their dreams. I spent these early weeks in Sydney in the back seat of a rental car as my parents zipped around town working through a list of tasks. Furniture purchases, tax file number registration, an apartment lease. Each tied us more closely to this city, but none inspired a sense of attachment. When I asked if there was anything I could do, my parents said I had only one job. Find your feet at school, okay? The locals in Wahroonga knew the elementary school in their suburb as the Bush School. Surrounded by a wildlife reserve, the school campus was always on the verge of being overrun by plant life. Thickets of bush clawed against classroom windows, and ear-sized mushrooms bloomed on the seats of the abandoned amphitheater. In the summer, the place was lush and green. But on this wintry Monday morning in August, my first day of 3rd grade, the leaves shimmered pale silver, and the boundaries of the campus were covered in shadows. At the blackboard in Class 3H, Miss Hall, a young woman dressed in powder blue, wore an expression so soft it seemed to dissolve every edge on her face. She gestured for me to come through the door, and as I shuffled to the front of the room, wrote on the board in perfect cursive, Bo So, South Korea. In front of me, some 30 pairs of eyes widened at this unlikely combination of words. For the rest of the week, I found myself at the center of the class's attention. On the playground, I learned that the shtick that played for the most laughs was mock argument. One of my classmates would praise some achievement of Western civilization. How good is white bread? And I would respond using the dozens of English words within my reach, no, rice is better. The other kids shook their heads, but could not disguise their exhilaration at the hint of conflict. However, over the course of the month, as the novelty of my presence subsided, disagreements between me and my peers took on a different tone. When conflict arose on the sports field or in a group project, my halting attempts to express myself caused exasperation and flashes of anger. In these zero-sum situations, I learned that the distance between being odd and being at odds was short, and a gesture or some words
Sample complete. Ready to continue?